And the first speaker this evening is our AA speaker, Mathematics. Please welcome Mathematics.
How's everybody doing? So I'm Mathematics. I'm a grateful man in recovery, and my problem is me, and the application of the 12 steps and a relationship with God is my solution. I say that my problem is me because my mind and my ego is the problem. My thinking is the problem. My ego that tells me I don't need any help is the problem. And then the application of the 12 steps, me just like reading the 12 steps, me seeing this 12 steps in a meeting on the wall and like memorizing them a little bit, that doesn't work for me. It's the application of the 12 steps that smashes my ego, and then a relationship with God is my solution. I'm honored to be here tonight because I get to work all three sides of the triangle. I go to meetings, the fellowship to feel better, but then I got to do the 12 steps to get better, and then I do service work in order to stay better. And that's the reason why I work in all three sides of the triangle. That's what you're going to hear in my share tonight. I'm going to speak about all three sides of the triangle, and that probably means I'm going to hit a home run because I'm going to get home safe, right? Yes. So when I said I'm in recovery, the big book tells me that what I'm in recovery from is the mental obsession to use a mind-altering substance. And I get a 24-hour reprieve from the mental obsession to use a mind-altering substance, but it's contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. So part of me maintaining my spiritual condition is doing one of the parts. There's 3 parts of step 12, and I'm doing the second part of step 12 right now. I'm really doing all 3 parts. I'm going to tell you how I got my awakening. I'm carrying the message of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm going to be practicing spiritual principles. And the spiritual principles, practicing them are the opposites of my character defects. So, I come from a pretty good upbringing. I know now, through reading the doctor's opinion and going through the 164 pages in the big book, that my upbringing is not what makes me an alcoholic or an addict. The fact that I was born with a spiritual malady that causes me to be restless, which means something's missing, irritable, which means easily annoyed, and discontent, which means nothing's ever good enough. And this is why my whole life, no matter how much my mother loved me, I'm a product of a single mother. My mother did her best. My first trauma, some people had trauma like where they were abused. Other people had different type of traumas where they might have been neglected. My first trauma was my mother overloved me. She never taught me healthy boundaries. She never told me that you're not going to be able to get yes your whole life, that there's not going to be someone here your whole life to clean up your mess, that I'm not going to be able, once you turn a certain age, I'm not going to be able to get you out of trouble. I was suspended from school every single year from kindergarten all the way until 12th grade. Every single year. And my mother would put me on punishment, and then I'd hit her. After 2 or 3 days, I could loosen her up. And that 2-week punishment would turn into a 2-day punishment, and then I'd be back outside, on my Huffy, playing kick the can, hanging out with the kids again. But like I said, my first 3 addictions before I ever picked up a mind-altering substance was validation, approval, and acceptance. I wanted everybody to validate me. I wanted everybody to accept me. I wanted everybody to approve of me because I always felt uncomfortable in my own skin. And this is why the bulk of my life I've been a professional people pleaser, which means I'll do anything that it takes to fit in, but I'm very scared and uncomfortable in my skin to do what it takes in order to stand out. I know now that the number 1 is an odd number. So if I want to be the number 1 version of myself, I have to be able to be willing to do something odd and different than what everybody else is doing. So at 13 years old, my mother was working a lot of hours. She had to do her best to provide for us. And me being home, I got out of school early that year, 8th grade. You graduated May. And I started getting into some mischief. And at 13 years old, I did my first mind-altering substance, and I was like, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. All the insecurity about body image, because I always felt like I wasn't tall enough. I always felt like I was too chubby. I always felt like I wasn't athletic enough. I never felt like I had the confidence to talk to the girls. I never felt like, as tough as the other kids. And so all that insecurity went away. And at 13 years old, I did my first drink. I did my first drug. I sold my first drug. I smoked my first cigarette, and I slept with my first girl. I slept with the girl for the first time. And all those things have basically been my obsession my whole life. The spiritual malady that I have, restless means something's missing, irritable means easily annoyed, discontent means nothing is ever good enough. This is why when people say, Math, what are you addicted to? I'm addicted to more. Anything that makes me feel good. It can be cookies, it can be gambling. If you tell me this jacket looks good, I'm going to want to wear it every day, right? Because I'm addicted to more. So, the spiritual malady is an outer reach for inner peace. So my whole life has been a journey of looking for something on the outside to make me feel good on the inside. I didn't know that the only thing that could make me feel good on the inside is a relationship with God. I didn't know that the only thing that could make me feel good on the inside is being of service to others. I didn't know that the only thing that can make me feel good on the inside is me trying to practice spiritual principles in all my affairs, right? So at 13 years old, I did this mind-altering substance. It quickly progressed to cocaine. From cocaine, it progressed to pills. The drug dealing got worse. My mother was doing her best trying to put me in private schools. It was too late. I went to my first detox in 1986, 28-day program. I came out. I was introduced to the program then. But I know now that you're not going to respect the solution if you don't even know what the problem is. If there's any newcomers in here, I would highly suggest for you not to call yourself an alcoholic or an addict your whole life and not even know why. You're not going to respect the solution if you don't even know why you're an alcoholic or an addict. So people would tell me that they're an alcoholic because they drink too much. And then I learned alcohol and addiction doesn't affect me when I'm drinking. It affects me when I'm sober. So how is it because I drink too much? After the powerlessness in step one, after that hyphen, it's no longer about the drink or the drug. It's about how I treat others. It's how I don't like myself. It's how I don't have a relationship with God. It's about all the broken relationships that I need to do a step 8 and a step 9 to replace. And then it's all the maintenance steps in 10, 11, and 12 that I have to continue to maintain my spiritual condition. So at 17 years old, I got my first arrest. By 18, I was in Walpole State Prison for 3 to 5. I came home. I thought that working in the laborers union was going to save me. But there's no amount of money that can cure the spiritual malady because Prince overdosed with $200 million. Michael Jackson overdosed with $200 million. Robin Williams gave up 20 years of sobriety, hung himself with a fifth of vodka next to his chair worth $200 million. There is no external solution for this internal problem except for the stuff that I'm doing here tonight and cultivating my relationship with God with the application of these 12 steps. So I thought that the union was going to get me sober. I was back in jail at 23. I did to almost 29. So I came home and I thought that and at this time, I've had some children now. My whole life, the people that pay the price the most are the people that I love the most. The people that I share the same last name with, the people that I share the same blood with, and the people that I sleep under the same roof with, they pay the price. But I give the drug dealer, the guy at the liquor store, the bartender, and the lady that's giving me my pills at the pharmacy earlier, waiving the co-payment, the utmost respect. But I hurt the people that love me the most. But I realize now that I have an illness. I was doing this stuff because I was spiritually sick. And the acronym for sick is spiritually ill can kill. And what happens is I kill my ability to be a good son. I killed my ability to be a good grandson to my grandmother. I killed my ability to be a good nephew. I killed my ability to be employable. And I killed my ability to be a productive member of society. So I did my second incarceration. I came home again. I thought that getting married and having more kids, imagine that. Imagine if kids kept us sober, man, I'd have 30 years. I got 5. I have 5 different girls. Don't try it. It doesn't work. Kids don't keep you sober. It does tell me before I do my step 3, the B question is, am I willing to admit that there's nothing human that can keep me sober? And God would and could. The C question is God would and could if he was sought. And that's what it tells me on page 29 in the big book. I'm supposed to tell you how I formed a relationship with God. After my second stay bed, I came home, and this is when my mother started to go to Al-Anon. So I want to thank everybody in here for helping my mother out. My mother's the best woman on the planet, but I ripped her heart out for 32 years. I can talk a dog off a meat wagon. It's going to be so hard for me to do this in 17 minutes. I can sell Jordans to Mike, and I can sell fire to a fire station, but I'm going to do my best to get this in 17 minutes. So my mother went to Al. It's already come 4 minutes. So I went to Allen. My mother went to Al-Anon. I did my third state bid. I was coming home from prison this last time, and they talked about the magic in the meetings. I wanted to go to the meetings where, people hang out outside, people, sell their clothes and they sell cigarettes and do all this different stuff. And my case manager said, no, you're going to go to a solution-based meeting. And a solution-based meetings when they predominantly talk about the 12 steps. It's when they talk about being of service to other people. I went to this meeting, I got a sponsor, and this sponsor now is my spiritual brother. And I was going to move in with a woman, and he said, your track record with women is terrible, don't do it. He said, I'm going to move you on my mother, and then that way we can go through the steps and you can take your time. And Audrey had been in Al-Anon for 27 years. And she taught me all the stuff that my mother didn't teach me. And before I met his mother, I said, Pugs, does your mother know I'm black? Because she was white. He said, we don't see color, right? I lived with this woman for a year, and she taught me all the healthy boundaries that I'd never know. I did 131 detox days, just to give you the whole shot before I have to conclude. I've been in detox 131 different times. I've been in a holding 8 times. I've been in a halfway house 4 times. I did 15 winters and 14 summers in state prison. I'm a habitual criminal in the state of Massachusetts. I was on Mass Ave for 3 years. I have 7 overdoses, and one of them were fatal. I was dead for 2 minutes. I had 20 years of back child support. 20 years of deadbeat dadism, being a baby daddy. There's a big difference between being a baby daddy and a father. But let me tell you what I'm doing now. I work in the recovery field now. I've been working at Bedrock Recovery Center for the last 5 years. I'll have 9 years of recovery in September. I'm a 12-step gangster. I'm a gratitude gangster. I'm a give-back gangster. I have a sponsor. I have 3 sponsees, so I don't just talk the program, I live the program. Then, after being a habitual criminal, I was able to go back into the prisons to be a recovery coach for 2 years and go full circle. I was able to do a TED Talk and do a living amends in front of my mother and my kids after I ripped their heart out, called Pain to Purpose for my mother. And actually, my mother flew in from Arizona yesterday, and I was with her today. And my mother's sleeping really good at night now because of my recovery. I almost ruined her marriage. Her husband almost told her, it's either going to be your son or it's going to be me. My mother couldn't sleep at night. She couldn't even function. She could barely even drive. And little did I know, I was manipulating doctors for medication. My mother was on all type of meds. She's not on any meds now. Her blood pressure is really good. The last thing is, if there's anybody in here that's, has issues with their children, I went from being a deadbeat dad, broken relationships with my kids, in step 9, right? That's the repair step. It heals everything that alcohol and addiction took. Step 9 can actually give back. I went from a deadbeat dad to now I'm actually a full-time father. I was with my grandkids today. And this recovery thing is one of the most beautiful things that can ever happen on the planet. And if there's nothing special about me, all I did was get a home group. I got a sponsor. There's the 3 houses of the program: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And I keep, no matter how much recovery I get, I keep being of service to others. I never forget where I came from and rest on my laurels. And with that, that's my time, right? And with that, on mathematics, and thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much.